Good. Well, good morning, everyone. It's great to see you all. It's been a long time, I think, since we've been together, especially personally, and I'm hoping our next meeting will be live. But we welcome you on this in Salt Lake, a cold and wintry morning. But the sun is out, it's bright, and the future of state parks is bright, so that gives us hope. I'd like to welcome Dave Harris, Scott Strong, Chris Holler, Rachel Toker, Amber Stubbings, Darren Bird, Shane Stroud, from our Department of Natural Resources staff and leadership. Jeff Rasmussen will be joining us a little bit later. He's involved in a legislative meeting currently, but will be joining us shortly. I better make note that today is February 18th, and my name is Bob Murray. I'm the chair of the State Parks Board, and I will be conducting this meeting today. Board members that are present today, we welcome you and thank you for taking the time to be with us. We have myself, Bob Murray, Lisa Coltharp, Claudia Jarrett, Kevin Christensen, Corey Cram, who is my vice chair, and Russ Stedman. And we're hoping that Natalie Randall and Brent Boswell will be joining us soon. Doug Thompson has notified us that he will be coming a little bit late. So we have called this meeting to order, and we welcome you and thank you for being here. We've had our attendance and introductions. If you've had a chance to review the agenda, and if everything looks good to you, I'll take a motion to approve the agenda as it stands, and I'll need a second on that as well, and then we'll move forward.
Mr. Chairman, this is Corey. I've reviewed the agenda, and I would make a motion that we approve the agenda as it's been presented. Thank
you, Corey. And do we have a second?
Your payment. This is Leisha, and I can second. Okay.
Thank you, Leisha. I appreciate that. All right. Everyone had an email that included the copy of our November 12th minutes from our last board meeting. I have to say, Amber, you did a spectacular job of putting all this material together. Thank you so much. If you've had a chance to review the minutes from our November meeting, were there any comments or questions or changes to those minutes? And if there were no changes, I'll take a motion. But let's open the floor. Any comments or questions or changes?
I already sent my changes to Amber, and she did, like you said, an excellent job on the minutes. So she incorporated the suggestions I made, so I'll move approval. Mrs. Claudia.
Okay, and I also sent some small changes in, but for the most part, I thought they were awesome. So we have a motion. Do we have a second? All right. Hey, thank you, Kevin, for the second. We'll move forward into the board member reports. And Claudia, can we start with you today? Love to hear about any state parks that you've attended or any that you'd like to talk about at this time.
Well, pandemic has been an interesting event for me, but I want to do two shout outs. One of them is actually to Amber. For when I was looking at the minutes, I questioned the word secretariat and found out an interesting fact that she actually has a connection to the racehorse secretariat. So I thought that was really cool. And if you ever get a minute, you may want to ask her about that. And I also appreciated the minutes because of all the links that she included in there. So I felt like I did a virtual visit to a lot of state parks, which I very, very much appreciated. And another special shout out to Justina. So that the jewels are our dark sky crown. That presentation she did on a YouTube video was awesome. So, I mean, it was so well done. It just did such a great presentation for state parks and dark skies that I just wanted to do those two shout outs. So virtually I visited quite a few, but not in person.
Thank you, Claudia. That's awesome. And I also recognized those links, and I jumped into the Bear Lake link and also the Coral Pink link, and they were great. Thank you. That really helps us to stay connected in a virtual way. Leisha, can we go with you next?
Yes. Hey, everyone. It's so good to see your faces. Sad that we're not all meeting in person. I was hoping that we would get to start 2021 off back together as a group. It's one of my favorite committees to sit on and favorite boards to sit on. And I'm sad we don't get to be together, but at least I can see all your faces here. And Corey, good luck with the leg. Sorry, I hadn't heard about that. So
it's all good. Thank you.
So I haven't been out to many state parks as well because of COVID and because of winter, but we have had a great fishing tournament at Steinecker that turned out well. We also have a new manager at Steinecker and Red Fleet State Park, and she is going to be a breath of fresh air there. She's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited to have her. She is from out of state and just moved here, but she's going to be a great addition to the state parks team. So I'm excited to see what she can do with the parks. I think it's going to be awesome. And there's lots of good things happening with the remodel at Red Fleet and her new leadership. Excited to see where that goes. I think that the Fieldhouse Museum currently has heat, so that's a plus for the winter time. We're excited about that. I haven't been in for a few weeks or maybe a month. I don't even know what month we're in right now, February. And it's, so that's going well. And I drove past Fred Hayes State Park yesterday, and it just always makes me think of Fred when I drive past there and cross over the bridge, and that was kind of fun. So that's my report. Not too much going on right now.
Thank you, Leisha. I really appreciate that. I failed to recognize Laurie Backus has joined us as well. Laurie, thank you for joining this board meeting today. Corey Cram, would you take the lead and tell us about your state parks and where you visited,
Sure.
if you have?
Sure. I guess I've been focusing mostly on our state parks here locally and just the good things that are going on. Nothing is static. It's such a dynamic environment, and I appreciate everybody the good things that are happening despite our challenging circumstances. And we certainly see the parks down here in the southwest part of the state have just changed with the visitation that we've had during COVID. We've had an influx of out-of-state visitors. Implementing new pricing for out-of-state visitors has been a really good thing, and I don't think we've seen any negativity associated with that. But we've seen just a big change, and I think it's a permanent change. We've been found, and our parks are responding and doing good things. Candace at Quail Creek is doing good things, and I think that she's just really growing in her responsibilities and leadership and working with the concessionaire there. And at Snow Canyon, we had Governor Cox visit there when he was down here, and that was a good thing. And at Sand Hollow, Jonathan Hunt is doing a great thing, and he's been a great addition. And just working with him, and we've had opportunities to bring in some material and expand the shoulders on the road, and increase parking is a huge thing down here, and so improvements. And we have a major road improvement. SR7 is being expanded on the south side of Sand Hollow, so it'll connect to the new airport to the west and hook around the reservoir and tie into SR9 up by the Hurricane Walmart, and that's going right past the park and impacting the OHV access. And Jonathan's working with UDOT and the construction company, and that's coming along. John Allred out at Gunlock is doing good things and responding to the COVID challenges with the parking and the influx of people. And we're working with him and with some additional properties that are owned by the old canal company and now St. George City to allow him to maintain some properties that had become very problematic, and to put in some controls there that'll help address waste and parking issues and safety. Wayne at the regional office has been very helpful in working with the county and with our staff and management, and looking at better management of a Kola reservoir, which we own, but we don't manage for recreation. And we're struggling to address some things up there. So we've had great help and support there. But, you know, just love the people in our parks here, and just everybody has a great attitude, and they're problem solvers, and they see these challenges and jump in, and there's no whining. It's just all a positive thing. And just, I love working with people, and just good things happen, and I'm proud to be a part of it, and just kind of looking at the outside in, and hopefully helping here and there where possible. But thank you, Bob. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Corey. Appreciate that report. Natalie Randall just joined us. Thanks for joining us, Natalie. We are just currently going through our board reports, and I'm wondering, would you like to go next?
Sure. I don't really have much to report right now. But glad to be here. I just touched base with Megan, who's kind of over the Southeast region, and just to see how things were going for the overall region. And she said that things are going well. Of course, they're tracking the new resource bill that came out. And then we just had a conversation about workforce and housing and affordable housing and wages and things like that, which is a really great conversation that I know economic development offices are having in the region as well. And so that's kind of about all I have right now.
Thank you, Natalie.
Yep.
Kevin, let's go to you next, can we?
Yeah, so it's great to be here today. The only park that I visited since our last board meeting was Snow Canyon. That's always a great place to go in the wintertime. It was great hiking. We did some biking. Everything was just perfect as it should be. I really commend all the park managers. They really seem to do a good job keeping parks nice and enjoyable. I like the Dark Skies initiative that's going on, and all the parks that are getting that approval, that designation. I would encourage all of the state parks, if possible, to as many of as possible to get that designation. I think it really adds to our state parks to have that designation. This last fall, I worked with the OHV division with Mike Thomas, and he arranged to have a trail cat come down to our area, and we worked on a trail that needed some work, and so OHV was very responsive and willing to help, and I really appreciate that. And probably this summer we're going to do another project in the area to improve some of our OHV trails. So anyways, things are going good down here. I talked to our Palisades State Parks. Last summer we did a bunch of hiking trails. We're now working with them. They're going to be putting up some signage for the trail, as well as some history kiosks that highlight different things about the park and its park's history. So those signs should be going up pretty quick too. So things are going good in our area. That's all I have.
Wonderful, Kevin. Thank you. Thank you. Let's go to Russ.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm still a little technologically challenged, so I had to put it on my phone. So hopefully everybody can hear me. It's good to be with you. Interestingly enough, I was in St. George this last weekend, so I tried actually to go to Snow Canyon State Park on Sunday, and there were so many people in that park that we turned around and went on some other hikes. I drove past Quail Creek as well. It was literally, I mean, this is not the weekend to go. President's Weekend's not the weekend to go to St. George, but we had some work projects and things going on down there. But anyway, it's great to see how many people are out, especially down in St. George. It was a beautiful weekend. Haven't been to any other parks. I drove by Fremont State Park, and if I would have had more time, I would have swung in there, but I was on a time crunch. I did want to shout out to this packet is amazing. I really appreciate all the information in here. I'm especially excited about the fiscal incentive grant and all the information that's in there. So thank you so much for that. And then I did want to say that my kids actually gave my wife and I one of the bucket journals for Christmas, and that is an amazing book, the Utah State Parks. So hopefully everybody has one of those. If not, they should check it out. It's a great little binder and helps the state parks. And so that's all I have.
Terrific. Thank you so much, Russ. I think that's everyone. Did I miss any of the board members for their reports? Except for myself, and I'll just let you know that I haven't attended any of our state parks. I'm kind of like Claudia. Yeah, with COVID, it's kind of well, during the holidays, I had COVID, and that was not fun. I didn't have a mild case either. Had the body chills and the aches and the headaches, and I lost my taste and lost my smell, and was down for about 2 weeks. Didn't have to go to the hospital or anything like that, luckily. But it was not fun. So I really do have a lot of empathy for those people who do get the virus. And I know that there's varying degrees of impact in our lives with that virus. But I do want to say that I'm really proud of our state park staff. I saw the article about Ben Mraz, who's the ranger at Monte Cristo, who saved 2 lives in a 24-hour period. A couple of snowmobilers veered off the trail and I believe hit a tree, and there were some back injuries, and maybe Dave will give us more detail on that. But Ben Mraz was there to help them and get them into an ambulance and off to the hospital to get checked out. We did have an unfortunate accident at Antelope Island about 4 days ago, where a young lady was hiking and it appears that she fell and had head and neck injuries, and she did pass away. And it's sad that these things happen in our state parks, but people are people, and accidents do happen. And I'm grateful that we have wonderful staff members who can be there to help people in their time of need. Anybody else have anything they'd like to say about the parks in their area, or any other comments? We'll take those at this time. And if not, we'll move on to our division report. Scott Strong, Deputy Director, would you like to go ahead and give us a business report?
Thank you, Chair. It's great to be here and great to see all of you online. I just want to reiterate what Bob had said earlier about Jeff. Jeff is on the Hill right now, speaking in behalf of Utah Raptor State Park. So he hopefully will be here shortly, but we miss him. We're grateful for all of you and your participation today too. And as I was thinking about my report today, I just wanted to really sincerely thank our staff. It's quite amazing what they do and how they do it every day. And I don't know that they always get the recognition that they deserve. So I just wanted to give them a shout out. I've been to several state parks in the last 3 or 4 months, and am just really always impressed with how dedicated and intelligent and how well our staff hosts the public. So thanks to them. I do want to cover 3 topics in my report this morning. The first is Parks Pass, and I'll get into what that is, and then the profit and loss for the operations, and then some just an update on special requests that we've made in the legislative session this year. So I'm going to start off with that Parks Pass app and web solution. I know Corey has heard about that. We launched it in the Southwest region at Snow Canyon State Park, and I think that's why he picked up on it. But I'll give you an overview as to what that is and some of the features. First off, it's an app, a mobile app, as well as a web app where you can go online and prepay your fees. So this is benefit not only to our visitors who it keeps some distance from our staff and the visitors, so it keeps everybody safe, especially with COVID. But as far as the mobile experience, some of the things that it does is it's a fully responsive web mobile app. So that means you can go on your computer and use it. You can also download it and put it on your phone. And we have QR codes. When you go to the park, you can click on the QR code and it'll load the app. and it'll give you specific information about the park. Visitors will also be able to buy merchandise on the app, as well as rent equipment. We have several parks that you can go and rent equipment there. We also are going to offer Wi-Fi services throughout our park. Each park where we have this, and we expect to have it at all parks by the end of the year. But having Wi-Fi is huge, especially in this period of COVID where people are working remotely. It's kind of curious to me, but a lot of people work remotely and even in parks. So that's a neat thing. The app will give you information. So Russ was talking about how busy Snow Canyon State Park was over the weekend. I was down in that area too and saw that for myself, which was quite amazing. But what this app will do is it will inform the visitor before they get to the park as far as what the capacity looks like, if there are parking spots available, so that, again, Russ, you wouldn't have to drive all the way to the park to decide, oh no, I'm not going to be able to go on a hike today, and my experience maybe won't be quite what I want it to be, or it'll give the visitor information so they can make that determination. It'll also do some mapping and trail. It'll provide trail information. And the trail information is really neat because it'll be interactive with the visitor. So if the visitor is going down a trail and they notice something that's out of place, they can take a picture of it and send that right then and there to the park staff. So the park staff can come and take care of that issue or problem. Or if it's a positive thing, they'll be able to share it on social media, which is a great thing. We also built in a piece of this to take donations. So at the end, if a visitor wants to donate to the park, they can do that very easily. The app will work both on the iOS and Android applications. It's really neat too. It might sound simple, but we're going to have liability forms that are built into the system as well. So that means that, for instance, at the Jordan River OHV State Park, there's a liability waiver that every participant has to sign in order to ride their OHV or motorcycle at the park. Well, all of that's been digitized, and they click on it, they click their pass, and then they click that they understand and certify to those liabilities. The other neat thing that we can do with that is there are some parks where we have programs and we need to collect a release form from the individual, and that'll be done through this app. And then the last part, and I know Corey will be very interested in this, is that we're also going to have the quagga form on the app. So if somebody does buy a day use fee for one of our reservoirs, they will certify on that app that yes, they understand and they have gone through the quagga certification process. That does a lot of things. It provides information about quagga. It also gives us some background as far as where that person has been and some of the activities that they've done. And it's, instead of a verbal recognition of it, there's a documented kind of pathway to see that they've done that. So that's really neat. And then it also does a trip planning feature, or has a trip planning feature. So if you're going to, say, the St. George area, it will tell you about all the experiences that you can have in that area, whether it's OHV experiences or trails or mountain bikes or kayaking or motorsports. All those things will be incorporated into the app, as well as partnerships that we have with local businesses. So we want to provide that economic value and benefit to the local community that way. There's a lot of neat hardware that we're using as part of this app, and it's all automated. So staff doesn't have to go out there and flip a switch when, visitation gets to a certain level, but we're using technology to essentially monitor who comes into the park. We don't collect or store any information, but we can tell how many vehicles have come in and come out of the park. We can do some measurements like that. I told you about the Wi-Fi, and that involves quite a bit of hardware. Let's see. We'll be able to have some trail cameras and trail counters to monitor how many people are using trails. That will allow the staff to better manage those areas or to have more information to manage those areas. And then just going into the staff resources, there's going to be all kinds of automation that the staff can use. One of those, again, is just the transformation from going between an Iron Ranger, which is a tube where somebody puts an envelope in with their fee for the day, versus having an electronic verification process that a visitor can pay for their day use on the app, and then it communicates directly with staff, and they have that instantly. I won't go into all of those parts, but a big piece of this is it helps the visitor enter the park quickly as well. I'm not sure if I can show my screen, but I'm going to try to do that really quickly. I just want to show you a couple of pictures that have been from the app. Is it available now? Are you able to see it, or is it taking just a minute?
You can see it.
Can everyone see that?
I've got your screen now. Yeah.
Perfect. So the first picture on the top left is Representative Brooks, who has kind of spearheaded this idea. He came to me with, hey, I have some technology. What do you think you can do with it? So we took that idea and have just run with it. And I can't say enough good about Representative Brooks and his support of state parks and recreation. He's just phenomenal. You might be able to see there's somebody photobombing us in the back, and that's Governor Cox. He was with us that day. And I don't want to get off on a tangent, but I just want to talk about Governor Cox very quickly and his support of the Division of Parks and Recreation. He is so supportive. He went out of his way to visit a few parks when he was going through the inauguration process. But more importantly, when we were at Snow Canyon, he spent probably 15 or 20 minutes just interacting with me and Jason Pitts, who I'll talk about in just a minute, and then the students. And it was so fun to watch him with each individual student. He'd go up and talk to them. He didn't just say, hi, my name is Governor Cox, and move on to the next one, but he asked them where they were from, what they were studying, how they helped build this app. And he was very engaging and gregarious. I was very impressed with him. He's just a great person. And I think we're all lucky to have him as our governor. But in that middle picture you see on the very end is Jason Pitts. He works for Dixie State University and is he is the project lead. And then you see there's 3 younger people in the picture. They're all staff and students that work on the project. And the Parks Pass is being done in conjunction with Dixie State University, Southern Utah University, and the Division of Parks and Recreation. And it's so neat to be able to bring these 3 groups together and build this. It gives the students a practical, real-world example of what they do, and then they can use that to move forward. And when they're looking for a job after they're done with schooling, they can say, hey, this is what I built. This tangible thing is something that I helped build. And we've seen that they're getting a lot of offers after they graduate because of this idea and the application. You can see the next picture is a screen door, and that screen door has a kind of a blind on it, but it advertises that you can use this app. And then on the right is a picture of the web page, the first web page you go to, and then the app itself. So it's a really neat project. I can't wait to get to the point where we can share it with you and put it in your hands and let you play with it. But I know that you're going to be very impressed with it, and it'll help the visitor as well as our staff immensely. Are there questions about it? I know I've given you like the 10,000 foot level view of this thing, but any questions?
So, Scott, do you see this as something that would be implemented locally, but then growing to a statewide application?
I do. In fact, we started it at Snow Canyon State Park as just a test. And then you're lucky enough to have it in your area and region first, Corey. Once we get those 4 parks taken care of
Right.
and tested out, part of that too is we started down there because that's where Dixie State University is and the staff is closest to those parks down there. But our park managers have been just so good to work out any bugs or ask questions and participate in the process. But yes, the quick answer is we expect to start it down there and then spread it among all 44 state parks.
Sounds great.
Any other questions? What a tremendous tool. I'm excited about this.
Yeah, it really is amazing. I don't want to take too much more time, but I want to jump into the profit and loss for the operating profit and loss. I typically do this during the board meeting, but what I do is I compare the current fiscal year, so the first 7 months of the current fiscal year to the same period last fiscal year. And when we do that, we see that the North region is up 85% with their operating profit. The Southeast region is up 89%, and the Southwest region is up 190%, which speaks to, again, what you've talked about, Corey, as far as the visitors who have discovered our parks, and they keep coming. We've seen that across the state, but definitely in the Southwest region. Statewide, our operating profit has increased 101% in the first 7 months compared to the last year at the same time period. Anyway, which is fantastic. The numbers are great. The numbers don't tell the people side of things, which is our parks are extremely busy, and that puts a lot of stress on our staff who are managing incredibly well. And again, I've said it before, but they just do a fantastic job. Any questions about the operating profit and loss? Okay, the last section that I wanted to talk about is the special legislative appropriations that we've requested this session. They're going well. They were heard not only in our Natural Resource Committee, but also in executive appropriations. And they were introduced last week into executive appropriations, and that went really well and had a lot of support. I'm going to go through those 7 projects really quickly and give you the dollar amounts. It's just a very brief description of the request, and you can ask questions later if you'd like. But the first one is $3 million for Bear Lake State Park to expand the campground there on the east side. The next is Escalante State Park Campground for $3.5 million. Goblin Valley State Park power line. Power is critical at Goblin Valley State Park, and that's for $3 million. Great Salt Lake State Park, we have $2.5 million for a water line that is going to be out of service in the next 2 or 3 years, so that's a critical ask. We're asking for $750,000 for motorized rentals. We've found at some parks that we can't get a concessionaire to come to the park to rent motorized, boats and wave runners and those type of things. So we've asked for money to do that ourselves. We're asking for $400,000 for a campground at Palisades State Park. This is below the dam, and it's a neat spot. Kevin, I'm sure, and Claudia know that area well. It's a beautiful little spot down there. And then we're asking for $3 million at Quail Creek State Park for a campground and expansion. There's a roughed out campground there now, and I'm sure Corey's aware of that, but we want to improve that area and bring more camping to Quail Creek State Park. And then we have $1.5 million for Yuba State Park to do some campground expansion there as well. And again, all of these requests come from our restricted account, which is money that we've generated and not taxpayer money. So the requests have gotten a lot of support. Any questions about the legislative requests? If not, that's my report.
Thank you so much, Scott. These improvements just really benefit our state parks, and with the number of people that are coming to our state parks. It's wonderful that we're putting this investment into our parks and making them even better. So the experience is magnified for our visitors. I'm looking forward. I'm taking a high adventure group down to the Goblin Valley State Park and also over to Coral Pink in August. And so I'm excited to use the app. Hopefully we'll have the app by then. And also just excited to know that we're investing this kind of money into our state parks. Let's go to Dave Harris, Deputy Director. Good to have you with us, Dave.
Oh, good morning. Thank you. And good to see everybody on the board and to hear all your updates and everything. I might have a few things that are duplicate. You guys are doing a good job of keeping track of what's going on in our parks. I just want to reiterate what a few of you have said, what Scott said. I mean, our staff are doing such an awesome job around the state. They have a lot of enthusiasm. They're rising to every challenge that comes up. You know, we can't anticipate what's going to be new tomorrow, a new challenge for us. And our park managers and our region managers and all the program managers and the park staff are doing awesome. We've got a great leadership team. It seems like when we get together, there's good solutions that come out for all the issues that come up. You know, one example is we meet every Monday morning, you know, as a leadership group and to discuss what's going on around the state. And there's so much going on. It's a couple of the last ones we've had to cut short because of, you know, legislative issues. And you just know everybody's just dying to tell all the great things that are happening and all the issues they need to, you know, help resolving. But like I said, they're just awesome, and I can't say enough about what they're doing. If you haven't had a chance to read the board packet yet, you know, a few of you mentioned that you have and what it looks like, please do. There's tons of information in there, great pictures, and just more detail on exactly what's going on. Scott mentioned, you know, that our profits up and our parks are busy and in general, but I have a couple examples. Just want to give you a couple examples of things that are happening right now. You know, right now on the weekends, Antelope Island, the parking lot trailheads are overflowing. People are parking in campsites or parking wherever they can. There's a line every weekend, you know, trying to get into the park. You know, most parks, the entrance might not even be open. At Antelope, they've got, you know, 3 people working at the gate during the busiest times on the weekend. So hats off to those folks out at Antelope Island that are hosting all the people coming in. Echo Reservoir look like ants out. You know, when you were far away, like from the freeway looking down, there was thousands of people that were hitting Echo Reservoir early this winter. Echo seems to be one of those places. I don't know why, but it freezes first, and there's great fishing there. But just hats off to those folks. They, you know, rose to the challenge. They don't have any running water. They don't have, you know, any restrooms other than the blue little toilet things. But you know, they've hosted all those folks there this winter. Willard Bay set, just killed their record on their Christmas lights this year. You know, they've had some issues. You know, it first started out as a concessionaire, then we ran it, but somebody else actually owned the lights. But now we brought everything together, and it's really worked out well. They hosted over 60,000 people and made $245,000 in revenue in a month and a half. So that's just amazing. Hats off to them. And that's during a time of year when they also have to staff Monte Cristo, you know, snowmobile trailhead, and they're trying to shut down from the one season and get ready for the next. So they've taken that on, and they do an awesome job there. You know, Goblin Valley, their winter holiday visitation increased over 300% this year. Usually they're pretty slow through the winter holidays, but everybody's going down there to visit. Snow Canyon visitation's up over 41%. And Sand Hollow has doubled their visitation over this time last year. So hats off to them and all the other parks that are just taking on huge amounts of folks. You guys have already mentioned the dark skies. We're really excited about that. A handful of new parks were designated, tons of media coverage, and even a proposal for a new specialized license plates at the legislature this year. So you might want to follow that bill. Some other things going on around the state. Huntington State Park, the property ownership is transferred from the BOR, the Bureau of Reclamation, to the Emery County Water District. I guess that water district had paid off their loan and wanted that property transferred to them. So we're still wondering how that's going to work. They say that the contract will remain exactly the same as it did with the BOR. So we're not anticipating any major changes there. And we're looking forward to building good relationships with that water district and working with them. We have a ton of new staff. A few of them have been mentioned. Amanda White is our new manager up at Steinecker Red Fleet, and she's from Alabama State Parks, about 7 years experience there. So we're really excited to have her. At Fred Hayes State Park, we have two, I can't say new employees, they've just moved up the line. Alan Spencer retired after, I think, a 26, 27-year career. So congratulations to him. Dylan Gill's a new manager there. He moved up from the assistant manager, and then Cameron Savage is our new assistant manager there, and he moved up from the ranger position. Also at Yuba State Park, we have a new assistant manager there, and his name is Mercer Owen. He came from Willard Bay State Park. In Cedar City, we have a new sergeant down there, and that's Brandon Jensen. He had transferred from Yuba State Park. Eugene Swalberg retired. You're probably all aware of that at the end of the year. And Devin Chavez, who was his helper, is now the new public information officer for the agency. And we're excited about him moving up into that position. He's going to do a great job there. And Art Martinez, who is our maintenance supervisor at Utah Lake State Park, has gone to be the new shop supervisor at our Salt Lake City boat and OHV repair shop. So we're excited about him. He used to work there a number of years ago, transferred to Utah Lake State Park, and now he's back, and we're excited to have him back there. There's been other ones. I just jotted down the ones I could remember, but we've had there's a lot of opportunity in our agency right now. We still have about a dozen openings. So we're still trying to fill positions. And what happens is people are just moving around within our agency. So it still creates a position where they left. So hopefully we get that trickle down to someday, and we'll have a full staff. And a few of the programs, the law enforcement program, lots going on with them. There's 5 new Rangers that are attending the police academy right now, and they will be graduating in April. And they'll be going to Willard Bay, Yuba, Palisade, Huntington. And then we had 4 Rangers that just graduated from post right before Christmas, and they went to Rockport, Sand Hollow, Jordanelle, and Goblin Valley. Around law enforcement, they've had several checkpoints around the state focusing on OHV and snowmobile use. And they've had many safety, registration, and a lot of drug and alcohol violations at those checkpoints. Our LE staff had stepped up, and they provided help for security at the state capitol for the planned protests on January 17th. And they've had many critical incidents over the past few months. A few of them have mentioned here. They've had people stuck on floating ice floes up at Strawberry, lost snowmobilers in whiteout conditions, pulled a man out of a submerged vehicle down at, I can't remember, Sand Hollow or Quail Creek. We've had a hiker fatality that was mentioned. We've had OHV fatalities, and we've had a ton of snowmobile accidents this winter that our folks have been responding to. Our OHV program, they launched their 50th anniversary of the OHV program starting in January. They're going to focus on that with social media. There's a legislative joint resolution honoring the 50th anniversary. They're going to have a regular television kind of outdoor show outreach component. And they have around the state some seasonally scheduled outdoor events to honor the OHV program. The boating program, they've provided boat operation training for some of our newer staff. That training includes how to tow boats, close quarters boat operations, open water boat operations, electronics, and they do all that. There's a certification that our officers or anybody that operates boats regularly on a division can get. So they're working towards that boat operator certification. The boating program also provided ice rescue training for Duchesne County up at Fred Hayes State Park. And along with that, they did their first practice under ice recovery with their ROV training that went really well. Except I guess it was a horribly cold day and windy up there. One of the big things this year is we usually spend a lot of time at the Utah Boat Show, and that's been canceled this year, probably due to COVID restrictions and issues. And Ty and I were trying to figure out how long the boat show had been going, and we know it's been an annual event for at least 30 years. So this is quite a big deal for that to be canceled this year. We're planning an employee development school, and I think a few of you have visited those with us over the years, but that's going to be March 23rd this year. It's unfortunately going to be virtual, but we're trying to learn and make the best out of how to make that happen. And we've got some good help. Paul Gedge, who is helping you probably there today with this meeting, is going to be helping us figure out how to do that virtually. You're all invited. We can get you all the information on how to tune in. If you just let myself or Megan know, and she's kind of the chair for the committee that's setting up EDS for this year. So remember that date, March 23rd. You're all more than welcome to attend as much of it as you can. We'll get you an agenda so you can kind of pick and choose if there's something that you'd like to see. If you'd like a few minutes to address the employees, we can arrange that as well. So, and just want to let you know, with all the COVID restrictions and everything going on, what we're doing, we've minimized our events. We're basically only approving larger events that have been established and are important to the local communities, and that the local health departments are on board. So our parks have been awesome at working with those local health departments and local communities on events that are still allowed. We've turned down several that were going to be major events, but they were new. They were people trying to establish a newer event. We're just trying to prevent any perception that we're having folks get together and going against any local health guidelines. And all of our trainings that we're doing with our officers and our meetings, we're being compliant with all the local and statewide restrictions. So that's been a challenge, but at least they're not changing weekly, so it's a little easier for us to plan ahead. And that's the end of my report. If there's any questions.
Dave, that's wonderful. We always look forward to your report. Do we have some questions for Dave Harris?
Okay, thank you.
Dave, thank you so much. Next on our agenda is the introduction of Assistant Attorney General Shane Stroud. This is a part of our agenda that Jeff Rasmussen was going to cover. Given he's not here yet, how would you like to handle that, Scott? Maybe Shane, maybe you could introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you, and so that we can get to know you better.
Sure thing. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, my name's Shane Stroud, and I'm the new Assistant Attorney General assigned to Parks and Recreation, and really happy to join the Parks family. Mike Long observed that, as the attorney, I'm probably more like a cousin, but part of the family no less, and I'll take that. So I grew up in Wasatch County. I graduated from Wasatch High School, and then I did my undergrad and law school at the University of Utah. I've always really been interested in natural resource and public lands law. That was the focus of a lot of my legal education. Before I came over to natural resources, I was in the litigation of division of the AG's office. And before that, I was at Kipp & Christian, which is a small defense firm. in Salt Lake City. So this is always really where my legal interests have been. And so I can't say how delighted I am to come over and work with such a great group of people doing the type of work that that's always captured my interest. And so far, I've been kept very busy doing a lot of different fun projects. And so I look forward to working with all of you and everybody in parks, and I'm happy to be here.
Shane, when did you start?
I started at the end of 2020. So last week of December was my first week. I started with the AG's office in 2017. So it was just kind of a move from one space to another for me.
Shane, can you tell us, do you have a favorite state park? And why?
Boy, you know, I would have to say that Wasatch Mountain State Park is my favorite because I grew up right on the edge of Wasatch Mountain State Park. And so I spent a lot of time in my youth golfing at the golf course very badly. I'm still a horrible golfer, but nonetheless did so. And I'm also a huge mountain biker. And so I spent a lot of time riding up in the Dutch Canyon Trails area. And in fact, you know, I kind of watched that trail system develop over the years. It was kind of fledgling when I first started mountain biking, and now it's so developed. There are great trailheads, really nice network of trails all over Wasatch Mountain State Park. And it's really become one of the preeminent mountain biking destinations in the state, if not North America. So yeah, I'd have to say of all of them, that's my favorite park because I've spent more time than any at that one.
That's wonderful. Well, there's lots of other state parks that you can do mountain biking and hiking in, so I'm sure you'll enjoy being a part of Utah State Parks. It's great to have you, Shane. Thank you for joining us today.
Great to be here. Thanks.
Just noticed that Doug Thompson joined us, a board member. Doug, welcome. It's great to have you here. We didn't get to hear from you earlier, Doug. Would you like to give us a quick board report from your state parks in your area? You unmute your mic there, Doug. Are you able to unmute there, Doug? We may need to come back to you, Doug. We can't hear you. I'm not very good at reading lips, but I think you said that sounds good. All right. Is Chris on the line with us? We're going to have to pass. Jeff Rasmussen has not joined us as of yet to give his division report. So, Chris, if you're on the line with us, why don't we move right on into the OHV Fiscal Incentive Grant recommendations, if we can.
Absolutely, and thank you for having me today. And what I'd like to do is just turn this time over to Rachel Toker. She's the Off-Highway Vehicle Program Grant Administrator. So we'll turn that time over to her and let her make those presentations to the board regarding the fiscal incentive grants from the OHV Advisory Council.
Thank you, Chris. So I want to start off by giving a quick little presentation. Ultimately, there have been a lot of changes with the fiscal incentive grant over the past couple of months. So I'm just going to do a quick little presentation and then we can get into the approvals. Just give me 1 second to open it up. Let me share this with you guys. All right, can you guys see this?
Yes.
Great. All right.
It looks good. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, so what is a fiscal incentive grant? A fiscal incentive grant is commonly referred to as FIG. It is a quarterly grant, And this grant itself was funded through House Bill 143 in the 2018 general session. So it is for federal agencies, state agencies, political subdivisions, and nonprofit organizations incorporated in the state of Utah. So funding comes from the Utah OHV community. It does not, in the 2018 general session, OHV registration fees were increased, but it did not affect snowmobile registration fees. So therefore, any applications received that pertain to snowmobiles are not relevant and cannot be used. The funding cannot be used for snowmobiles. So ultimately, with this increase of registration fees, it added an influx of funding into the program's restricted fund, and then the Board of Utah State Parks and Recreation approved this new grant program. So submitted applications are reviewed and evaluated by the Utah's Off-Highway Vehicle Advisory Council. And these are volunteers all throughout the state of Utah. And recommendations are vetted through the Board of Utah State Parks and Recreation for final review and awarding of applications. So as of right now, applications are rated on a scale. This may change as time goes on, but as of right now, if the council scores anything with an average of 3.5 or higher, it is considered to be funded. It is recommended to be funded. What the council does is that they score applications individually before the advisory council meeting, and then we review them together and they score based on that. Okay, so what makes FIG different? This is a major change. Is originally this grant used to be for $12,500 quarterly, but as of right now, we no longer require a cap. So we no longer have a cap for funding. So if someone wants to apply for a $100,000 grant, they can. The reason that we're doing this is because we have the funding. We want to utilize it before it gets taken away from us. So another thing that makes us different is that it does not require a 50-50 match. Our federal grant, Recreational Trails Program grant, also known as RTP, does require a 50-50 match. So the reasoning behind this is that we want individuals or people across the state of Utah, whether they're nonprofits or government entities, we want them to be able to apply even if they do not have a 50-50 match or the funding available. We still want to be able to give back. Okay. So I'll quickly go through this. I won't get too much into it, but what qualifies? So this is for trail work, access protection, search and rescue, tourism, education, and then other uses. So for trail work, it can be spent on construction, improvement, operation, acquisitions, or maintenance of publicly owned or administrated OHV facilities. And then this isn't limited to everything that will be in these upcoming slides. It's not limited to it. It's just some ideas or potential uses for the funding. So access protection, we allow up to 20% of funds to be spent on access protection. As the participation in federal travel planning and processes by the OHV organizations, the state of Utah and subsidiaries. So it's not access and protection, it's access protection. It's two words, but combined. And then these are some of the examples below, but not limited to. And then search and rescue. So we allow 5% of funding for search and rescue. One thing is that our funding is unable to fund law enforcement items. But it can fund a number of other items. So for tourism, we also allow 5% of funding. It can be for jamborees, promotional items, billboard, advertisement, internet mapping, kiosk structures, etc. And then education, again, 5% of this goes to education. There's a lot of different ways it can be utilized. I just don't want to delve too much into this because I can also send this presentation out as well. And then other uses, this is something that you guys will see a lot of. we have a lot of applications that will be going to be approved that include other uses as well as tourism. And so one of the main things that people use other uses for is for trail mapping 360. This go around for this quarter, we actually received I believe it was 25 applications that pertain to Trail 360 as well as the advertisement of those trails. Okay, so another thing that's changed is that our applications are now open for 45 days. Originally, they were only open for 30 days. The dates that you see below here, this is based off of our state fiscal year. So our quarter one is actually in July, and then so on and so forth. All applications close every quarter on the 15th at 5 p.m. And we tell applicants that if they do not make the deadline, there's always next quarter. So these are the types of OHVs that FIG can be used for. Again, it does not pertain to snowmobile registration fees. That is for House Bill 143. Therefore, this grant is not valid for snowmobile related projects. All right, and if you guys are interested in more information, we have an FAQ page. I update it. It says weekly, but honestly, sometimes I'm updating it daily. And then also, if you guys are interested or know anyone that is interested, we have our grant opens, our next quarter grant opens on March 1st. All right, so that is it for me on that. Sorry, let me get back to this. Okay, so as you guys have in front of you, it should be my understanding that you guys have the recommendations that Amber sent out. Let me just pull those up. I will be going through those. As you guys can see, there are some different colors. So as I was stating in that little presentation, we do have a number of applications that were scored in combination with the other ones. So, oh, actually, it looks as though my presentation was also included. So thank you, Amber. So as you guys can see, there are some in purple and then in green. And pretty much what this breakdown is the promotional episodes and advertisements, and then also the 360 trail projects. The OHV Advisory Council scored these applications together because they were cookie cutter applications. They were all very similar, but with small features and differences. So this is what the application, the Advisory Council did. They just scored them all. They all got the same score. There were a couple applications that were not recommended by the Advisory Council, and that was just due to lacking some of the requirements for the application itself. So I'm going to real quickly just go through some of these. I will start with the 360 trail projects. So pretty much all this is it's funding that will be utilized to create 360 video trail mapping of 3 trails. It's based on either the city or county who applied, and then below them, they also have the 3 trails in question. The applicant intends to follow the existing programs, the OHV programs structure that we have already established. And then also, once these are created, they will be shared. So the second part of these applications that you can find in green, this is the advertisement side of it and the promotion of these trails once that the trail 360s have been completed. So there is a slight variation in these. It appears that some of these are production and broadcast of 3 to 5 minute feature story. It'll be aired nationally. A lot of these, you can see that they have at your leisure. A number of these counties or cities are working with at your leisure to do the promotion and the advertisement of it. And then I believe, let me just quickly look through this. It looks as though some of them are doing a 3 to 5 minute segment on it. And then afterwards, it looks as though a few of them are also doing some 8 30-second advertisements that will be shown. It looks like shown once a week. So that's kind of the breakdown of, I believe, what is it? It is, oh, sorry. for 21 of those applications. There was one application, I believe it was Green River City, that did not submit the promotional and episode advertisement for it. I've already spoken with them and discussed how to go about that in the future. So as for the other ones, those are in blue. I will quickly just go through those. And if I have questions, I can field those. And then if there's anything that I cannot answer, Chris is also here to assist. But so as you guys can see, this is for January. This is our quarter 3 fiscal incentive grant for fiscal year 2021. So out of the 47 applications, 38 of those were recommended by the council. So I will start with number 1. The sponsor is Paiute Trail Committee. It is the Great Western and Gooseberry Trail signing for 2021. Ideally, they intend to install 87 signs along with 2 single panel kiosks and 4 double panel kiosks across the 2 trail systems. The requested funding is $12,500. And again, this was last quarter's limit how much they could request. On the upcoming quarters, there will be no limit. So just an FYI, again, these projects do not require a 50-50 match. Some of them do meet a 50-50 match, but a lot of these only have about 10 to 5% funding. And again, that is an issue with us. We have the funding. We want to be able to fund smaller communities. So the total project value is a little over $26,000. And then again, from the Paiute Trail Committee, they have the West Paiute Trail signing for 2021, and it's the installation of 11 new kiosks, 1 map board, and 18 new trail signs. So this will complete the signing for the West Paiute Trail system. Another application that they have in place is the Paiute Helmet Program. So I found a lot of value in this, and I think it's something that is very worthwhile for the community. So ultimately what they do is they provide helmets to youths. It's a joint partnership with the Forest Service, BLM, and then 6 rural Utah County sheriffs and local police departments. So ultimately what it does is that if an individual from the law enforcement community in those 6 counties come across someone who is under the age of 18 who is not wearing a helmet, they give them a certificate so that they can go to a local dealership and actually get a helmet. So it's for individuals who do not have the privilege of having the funds available to purchase safety equipment. So they also intend to distribute the helmets at 4 Jamboree events across the county. Again, they're requesting $12,500 with a total match of almost $19,000. I'm sorry, total project value of almost $19,000. Next up, we have Carbon County Office of Tourism. It's a 9-mile trail counter project. It's the installation of 4 TrafX counters. 2 will be placed along 9 Mile Canyon Road, and then 1 in Cottonwood Canyon and 1 in Dry Canyon. Again, this isn't the Cottonwoods that I know. It's not the little and big Cottonwood in Salt Lake County. So they're only actually requesting $2,221 with a project total of $3,221. And Chris, you might be able to answer this. I've only done this a couple times, and I cannot recall if the board votes per application or if they vote as a whole. I was wondering if someone could quickly just answer that question before I continue going through all of these applications and then have to go back.
Chris, what do you think would be the most best way to address that?
So yeah, I'll jump in here. In the past, what we typically have done is we've only tried to highlight. So what we've done in the past, and I hope you guys can hear me, what we've done in the past is we've typically highlighted anywhere from 4 to 6 of the applications just to provide some of those highlights that we've received. And then it should have been supplied, and I have the utmost faith that Amber and Rachel work collectively together to be provided as one packet of passage to the board, and then the board passes those recommendations provided by the council. I believe that's a lot more efficient and streamlines the process in front of the State Park Board today.
Okay, great. Thank you, Chris. I just couldn't recall and wanted to make sure that we're going about this the best way possible.
Rachel, I do have a question, and that is, I see that there's 47 applications. I'm not sure which 38 were recommended by the council and which 9 were not.
So the ones that you have in front of you, so the 38 are listed, and that was in the packet. The 9 that were not, they are not listed. In the past, we haven't listed them. If that is something that going forward you would like to see what hasn't been approved, I can definitely do that easily for the board itself. The 9 that were not approved, I believe 4 or 5 of them either did not have a secondary signature, which we require, and then the other ones did not have any letters of commitment. There were only a few that did not meet either the standard or the intent of the fiscal incentive grant. I believe that 2 of them did not pass, and they were intending to purchase tents for jamborees. And then I believe one of them was for mining. It was mining and working consistently with mining companies, but on the OHV side of things. I can provide brief descriptions of those. I unfortunately do not have those prepared at this moment, but in the future, what I can do is I could color coordinate and have those in place if that is something that interests someone.
Rachel, this is Doug Thompson. Our packet actually has all 47 listed.
Yeah, it has all of them.
So we don't know which 38.
Okay,
We don't know which 38 are the ones that are approved.
So it doesn't have all 47 of them. It has, like, if you look through the packet, so like the last page, it goes like 39, 40, 41, 46, 47. So she's taken out the numbers out of the sequence.
I mean you've got to know your numbers and your alphabet too?
Yeah, crazy.
Ideally. Yeah, so what I can do in the future of this is I can have all the ones that were recommended, and then on a separate area, I can have it showing in the descriptions of what were not recommended by the OHV Advisory Council, just so that you guys, if anyone on the board itself wants to alter things or feel as though there was an application that should be passed and recommended and approved by the board, so that we can do so. I can supply those after this meeting very quickly. Again, there was only 9 of them. So if that interests people, please let me know and I can get that to everyone. And
Rachel,
oh, go ahead.
Rachel, I think for the future, that would be really helpful to show the ones that were approved and then maybe a list of those that were not. And a brief explanation for why they were not approved.
Okay, I can definitely do that. And again, if the board is interested in seeing those for this quarter, just let me know and I can.
Rachel, my only question.
Can I?
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead, Claudia.
My only question was, since you presented the little slide presentation on amount of funding that can only go to certain kinds of projects, 5% was one that kind of stood out to me. And when I look at the amount of money going to that 360 trail thing and at your leisure, did that come under that 5% cap that you showed in your spreadsheet presentation? I mean, it just seemed like there was a whole lot of the money going into that effort, and they have broached that cap.
Yeah, so it did come out from under that cap. And something that the Fiscal Incentive Grant Committee has decided, they came up with those numbers and those percentages, but they can be altered based on our applications. They're not set in stone. They're just kind of a guiding, just to show this is what we have, but it can be altered if need be. So it's just there as a place number ultimately.
Claudia, this is Chris. I'm just going to jump in here real quick and confirm that. So that overall percent is based upon the state fiscal year from July 1st through June 30th. So it's just not quarterly based. It's on an annual basis. And I can tell you that we are definitely under that suggested recommended 5% amount.
Thanks for the clarification.
So can I speak to this?
Yes, Russ, go ahead.
I sat on this board before these grants were coming out, and I will tell you that the members of this board are tireless. They spend a lot of time and effort in looking at each one of these. So I just think we need to take their recommendations, because as we went through it when I was on the board, like I said, they spent a lot of time. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay, thank you, Russ.
Chris, I have this one more question, if it's all right. I noticed, is there a certain deadline for completion of these projects? Because when I looked at the At Your Leisure, oh my gosh, so much filming, so much ads to put out there and timelines. So is there a timeline if this grant is accepted that they have to complete it? Is that part of the application process?
Great question, Claudia, and thank you so much for asking that. So on the majority of the projects, the applicant identifies a project completion date. Staff reviews those, and if we believe that maybe they painted themselves into a corner, we will work with them on an individual basis, and that's established through a fiscal assistance agreement. So an applicant may put, hypothetically, February 18th. We may come back and say, well, how about a July 18th, just in order to ensure that the project is completed in a timely manner, and then that we're not having to do additional paperwork with modifications.
Thank you.
Back to you, Rachel.
Can I make a comment?
So I'm just going
Kevin, go ahead, Kevin, and then back to you, Rachel.
So I'm a little bit concerned with all the Trail 360, not because it's a bad idea, but because of the backlog, specifically with Google. For example, we did a Trail 360 project clear last, I think it was June or July, we filmed it. And it has been submitted to Google, and most of the trails still aren't up. It's in this backlog of Google. So, I don't know how you resolve that, because that's another entity, but there is a problem right now. Maybe it's just COVID related and they're not working like they should over there at Google, but probably 3/4 of the trails that I filmed last July are not on Google yet, even though they've been submitted. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. So as of right now, and this will be changing for next quarter, but we allow a timeline of 1.5 years. Also, if people are concerned or applicants are concerned with the timeline, we do authorize an extension of that. It is stated in the application itself. So if they have reason to believe that it will go past 1.5 years, they can say that in their application, and the council does take that into consideration. On my end, after a contract has been put in place and a deadline has been passed, they can come to me and ask for a modification. Especially with COVID and what's going on currently, we've had a lot of issues with those deadlines for these applications. So we are lenient, but we do like to try to keep them, but we understand that things can be out of others' control. So I just wanted to state that. I can get back to this. Again, I will only touch on a few of them, just so that I don't take everyone's time. So something that is the SITLA, so that is the Utah School and Institution Trust Lands Administration. So they are working on the Delineating Hurrah Pass 4-wheel drive trail. This is application number 30. They actually do have a 50% match. Again, it's not required, but they are requesting $12,500 for a total application cost of $25,000. Ultimately, what they intend to do is to create more sustainable fencing to allow for delineating along 3.5 miles of trail on a Class D road. Seeing this application in the pictures that were provided, it seems worthwhile. something that needs to be done. It's also something that some of our advisory council members were present for and were taken to be shown what needs to be done and completed. Another one of our applications come from Sage Riders Motorcycle Club of Utah. Again, this is a 50% match, so they're requesting $12,500. It is application number 31, but it is a travel management plan, an engagement. It intends to spend 3 days documenting routes in the San Rafael Desert to establish the most threatened routes and access areas. And then with this information, they will hold a total of 5 meetings to present their findings to local officials, stakeholders, and also the OHV community in the area. And just to touch on a couple other ones, we have the Butch Cassidy OHV Trail Connector Feasibility Study. So this is a study taking place in Paiute County. It is application 39. They're requesting $12,500 for a total project cost of $13,700. This is something that the Advisory Council has not come across before. And it's something that is very new for us, but it opens up some other doors for what this application can be utilized for, well, this funding can be utilized for. So ultimately, they intend to use the funding to conduct a study on the feasibility of connecting the Paiute OHV Trail extension in the Butch Cassidy Boyhood Home. It's a feasibility study that would include route alternative analysis and recommend the best route alternatively based on property ownership, NEPA, and public safety, and also cost. And these are some things that we've seen in the past. It includes trails equipment, the purchase of a side-by-side, and then, so this is coming from Emery County Travel Bureau. They're requesting $12,500 for a total application cost of $28,500. They're purchasing a side-by-side to carry equipment and make it easier for volunteers to access harder to reach areas. And then just a quick other little one to touch on. Let's see. The last two, so number 46 and 47, they are also for trail maintenance. One is for Iron County and one is for Garfield. Both applications are requesting almost the limit. Garfield County is requesting $12,500, and then Iron County is requesting a couple $100 under that. So it appears that with Iron County, they're going to purchase a prefabricated shop that'll be located on county property. This will allow county employees to place a place to work, as well as an OHV trail supplies and equipment, and to be maintained there for their trail system. For Garfield County, it'll be used to, excuse me, let me take a breather. Okay. Funding will be used to assist in hiring a full-time seasonal equipment operator. So this will, for their county, this will consist of solely working on OHV trail maintenance. So ultimately, those are kind of just a little brief description of some of the applications that were recommended by the council out of those 38. So I will let you guys ask questions or go about it.
I have one question regarding the Garfield County maintenance request. Are they going to be able to handle the payment, the salary for that individual later on, or is this going to be a regular request?
So if I remember correctly, it could potentially be a regular request. Again, with the increase for next quarter, it may just be an additional request for an extended period of time. I believe that their timeline was only for 6 months. So it could be coming back. I haven't really spoken with them on regards to that, but there is a potential for 6 months after that.
Thank you.
Great questions. Rachel, thank you. That was a lot to cover. Any questions for Chris or Rachel at this time regarding maybe any specific recommendations here?
Just a quick observation, which I was excited to see actually, was some little teeny towns. I mean, Joseph, Tropic, Tickaboo, Marysville, they don't have a huge base for funding, but did kick in some money for these grants. So I thought that was pretty exciting to see some small towns take advantage of this FIG money. So with that, I will make the first motion, which is to approve the 10 promotional and advertisement related quarterly OHV fiscal incentive grant recommendations. And I can't remember what color they were. What color were they?
The 10, they were green.
Green, the green ones. That's my motion.
I second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for the promotional advertisements. Let's go person by person for a vote on this. Doug Thompson?
Yes.
Corey Cram?
Yes.
Claudia Jarrett?
Yes.
Kevin Christensen? Kevin Christensen?
Yes, I do have, I am providing match money for Ephraim City on their grants. I don't know if that's a conflict or not, but I vote yes if it's not.
Okay. Alicia Colthorpe?
I vote yes. I do have some questions, but I'll bring those up later. But this round, I'll vote yes.
Okay, terrific. Natalie Randall?
I vote yes as well. And just, I'd like to go through some more of the promotion review in the future, but that would be separate from this.
How do you see that happening, Natalie?
I guess just, sorry, my bandwidth is a little bit lacking when I have my video on, so hopefully this still works. I say for these grants, I'd vote yes for, but just interested in learning more about the follow-up of the promotion and just, I think it's more education for myself.
And that would probably be good for all of us. So thank you for bringing that up. And Russ, I think we know how you're going to vote on this.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Did I miss anyone? Terrific. Okay.
Excuse me, Kevin, just
Yes.
keep in mind at ease, the Utah state law regarding conflicts of interest, they don't care if you have a conflict as long as you state it, which you've done, so you're not going to be arrested.
Thanks for making that clear, Doug. We would not want him to be arrested. He's too nice of a guy. All right. Any questions about the other recommendations that were presented by Chris and Rachel? And if not, I'll accept a motion for the other recommendations.
Mr. Chairman, this is Corey. I'd make a motion to approve. Mr. Chairman, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, this is Corey. I'd like to make a motion to approve the 11 360 Trails projects related quarterly OHV fiscal incentive grant recommendations has been presented here.
I'll second that.
That's the pink ones in the packet.
Okay, Corey has made a motion, and Doug Thompson, did I hear you second that?
Yes, you did.
Okay, thank you for that. Let's go person by person and take a vote on this as well, starting with Doug.
Yes.
Corey.
Yes, thank you.
And Claudia.
Yes.
Kevin Christensen.
Yes.
Alicia Colthorpe.
Yes.
Natalie Randall.
Yes.
And Russ.
Yes.
Okay, terrific. We've got a motion and a second, and it's unanimous, the voting. Okay, so that deals with 21, if I've counted correctly, 21 of our recommendations. That leaves how many? Who's a mathematician? 17 left. Okay. We have a motion for the remainder of those.
Yes, this is Kevin. I will motion to approve 17 other quarterly OHV fiscal incentive grant as recommended.
Thank you, Kevin. We have a motion. Do we have a second on the remaining 17 other
I'll second.
recommendations?
I'll second. I'll second that.
Thank you, Russ, for the second. We'll go person by person again, starting with you, Doug.
Yes.
Corey Cram,
Yes, thank you.
Claudia Jarrett,
Yes.
Kevin Christensen,
Yes.
Leisha Colthorpe,
Yes.
Natalie Randall,
Yes.
and Russ Stedman.
Yes.
Okay, we've got the first and the second, and it's been unanimously approved. Thank you, everyone, for your participation on all of those wonderful grant recommendations. And Russ, I really do appreciate you making mention that you were involved in that council. That really gives us some good insight where we're not on the council, and we heard how you see that process work and what people do to approve these recommendations. So thank you for that insight. We're really happy to be able to have our director, Jeff Rasmussen, back from his legislative meeting. And Jeff, I wonder if we could go to you at this point and get your director's report. We jumped over you so that we could introduce Shane Stroud, which we have already done, unless there's more that you'd like to say about that. And if we can get your director's report, that would be great at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'm happy to be back. It's always good to be back here at home at DNR. I did have to make a last-minute run to the Capitol this morning. This time of year, we beat to the, or we, what's the word? We marched to the beat of their drum. It's not vice versa. So there was a standing committee meeting that I had to attend this morning, and I apologize for my tardiness to the meeting, but I am happy to be back. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Regarding our new attorney, Shane Stroud, I'm not sure what was said about him, but
we actually allowed him to tell us about himself and his favorite state park, and we got to know him a little bit better. So that was wonderful.
I just want to say I got quoted on this last week, but I had mentioned to his boss, our director for the Attorney General's office upstairs, that life is good when you have a good attorney, and he printed that out in bold letters and gave it to me to hang up in my office. But it's true, life is good when you have a good attorney, and he really is. He's an awesome addition to DNR and to state parks. He's excited to be here. He's great to work with and communicate with, and I can't tell you how happy I am to have him at DNR. He's just awesome. So I'll leave that at that, but we're happy to have Shane on our team. And you'll notice that too, as we have him participate in our board meetings, and as you get to know him, he's just a great guy. And he loves the outdoors. He loves doing all the same things that we love to do. So that's an added bonus. For my part of this, I guess I had just planned on talking about the legislature, but if you've got other questions for me, certainly we can talk about whatever is on your mind. Legislature is first and foremost this time of year for us, and this year has been busy. Every year I say this year has been the craziest year, and my wife always reminds me that, well, that's what you said last year. And I'm like, no, I really mean it this year. This year has been super busy. I counted the bills that we're tracking last night, and we're up to 79. And that list continues to grow as the session goes on. That's 79 bills that have some sort of impact on the Division of Parks and Recreation. That we're tracking, some big potential big impacts, some just minor, but they all impact our agency in some way. So we watch those and just track them as we go through the process. And this is no small task. And I just want to say hats off to our legislative liaisons, Eric Stuckey and Chris Haller, who really take the brunt of it on. And the rest of our team, Dave and Scott and our program managers and the rest of our staff that all pitch in. It's always all hands on deck when the legislature is going. There's very tight deadlines, and one of Scott's extra duties is to respond to fiscal note requests that I believe we have 48 hours to respond to, or it's 20. Is it 24? And a lot of those come at the end of the day, and a lot of those are very complicated and it takes a lot of work to do it. And Scott does a tremendous job. But I just want to say hats off to our staff that is able to make it all happen, because it's a lot of work. The reason that I was up on the Hill was the Utah Raptor bill was going before the Natural Resources House Standing Committee. And I had heard that Representative Elison, who's running the bill, was going to propose a substitute, which he did. And that substitute changes the bill. I can't remember what they called it. It's something to the effect of state park amendments, I want to say, is the new title of that bill. And what changed with it was, in addition to creating a new state park at Utah Raptor at the Dalton Wells site in Grand County, just outside of Moab, it also added Lost Creek Reservoir onto that state park creation list. Lost Creek's in Morgan County, and it's a beautiful location. It's another reservoir that's managed and operated by the Bureau of Reclamation. So if that part of the bill happens, that'll be another partnership between Division of Parks and Recreation and the Bureau of Reclamation. And one of the many beauties of that is we get to combine resources with our expertise of both agencies and funding. And the funding is huge because they match us dollar for dollar on our investment. So that one's exciting. Utah Raptor is also an exciting proposal. I had to go there myself last session when that bill was being run, just to kind of get a feel for that area. And I have to say it's really a beautiful area. The views from that Dalton Wells area are gorgeous, of the La Salles. It lies right on the border of Arches National Park. It's kind of right in the heart of all things recreation in the Moab area. And on top of that, it's just filled with off-highway vehicle and mountain bike trails. It's got a connection to history with the Moab Isolation Center and this historic CCC camp there. And of course, the Utah Raptor Dinosaur Quarry. So it's really a cool site. But with both of these proposals comes a pretty hefty price tag. The fiscal note for Utah Raptor State Park was $28.5 million. 7.5 of that is an estimate of what it would cost to purchase the Sitla land that comprises about half of that area. The Lost Creek proposal is a $15 million project that hopefully we can get Bureau of Reclamation to match that, and so the state's contribution would be half of that. But still, that's a lot of money for both proposals. So the substitute bill passed out of committee, and it'll go to the House now for consideration, and we'll see what happens. My plea to the committee was just that if we do it, let's do it right. Let's not create a state park and then not build it to a level that our visitors and the community expects, and important for us that we develop it to a level where it will generate enough money to be able to pay for its ongoing costs, which is just so important for all of our state parks. So we'll be watching that one closely. House Bill 346, Representative Snyder is running. Yeah. Was there a question?
Who covers that 28 million and the other amounts for those parks? Is that coming out of our funds?
No. We wouldn't be able to cover that with our funds. That's a general fund request. So there's going to have to be general fund money to be able to cover that. Anything else on Utah Raptor or Lost Creek? Okay. House Bill 346, Representative Snyder is running that bill. It's called the Natural Resources Entities Amendments. And this bill also could have a substantial impact on our agency. Basically, it splits the Division of Parks and Recreation into two separate divisions, the Division of Parks and then the Division of Recreation. And with that split, our off-highway vehicle and boating programs would go to that Division of Recreation. And my interpretation of the other things that would happen with the bill would be that agency would oversee the statewide boating and OHV program, which a part of that certainly is in our state parks. It would also be an all things outdoor recreation grant go-to agency. So our off-highway vehicle and boating grants, like the off-highway vehicle grants that you were just considering, would be administered out of that agency. Our Land and Water Conservation Fund, and also in the bill, it would take on the grant opportunities that the Office of Outdoor Recreation runs. I also hear that there could be some substantial money coming to that agency for general outdoor recreation investment. So this one could have a lot of really positive impacts to all things boating, OHV, trails, everything outdoor recreation across the state. So we'll be watching it really closely, and regardless of the outcome, we're going to make it work, whatever might happen. There's a resolution that's being run by Representative Stratton, HCR 13. It's a concurrent resolution regarding the Bridal Falls area. What that resolution does is it asks the Division of Parks and Recreation to work with Utah County, with Provo City. There's a lot of stakeholders that are interested in the Bridal Falls area, as well as the public, to evaluate options for the future, what might happen for the future of the Bridal Falls area, and asks our division to report back to the Natural Resources Interim Committee with some proposals, kind of the pros and cons of potentially designating that area as either a state monument or a state park. So there will be some funding that, if the bill is passed, would come with that proposal to be able to do that study. But if it passes, we'll have some work to do to try to figure out what might be best for the Bridal Falls area. Senator Hinkins is running a joint resolution to celebrate the 50th anniversary of our off-highway vehicle program, and we're super excited to celebrate that birthday. And what that does for our agency is gives us an opportunity to make people aware of the benefits of that program. Gives us the opportunity to talk about the responsibilities that we have with that program in promoting safety and education to reduce accidents and injuries, and also an opportunity to talk about the tremendous positive impacts that agency has on throughout the state, with local and the state economy, with all the tourism that activity brings, those activities bring into local communities. So we're excited about that one. And then just two more to highlight. Representative Albrecht ran a off-highway vehicle amendments bill. It was House Bill 111 that's already worked its way through the process, and it's my understanding it's just awaiting the governor's signature. That bill removes the age requirement for off-highway vehicle operation and really legalizes what's been going on for public land for a long time, with families that take their kids to ride off-highway vehicles that are size appropriate for kids under 8, and makes it legal to do that as long as those kids go through the safety course and have their safety certificate, as long as they're supervised by adults. And let's see, what was the other one? They're under direct supervision, adult supervision. No, that's the one I said. Let's see. Oh, okay. It's those two things, plus most importantly, they can reach and operate all the controls. We don't want to put them on a big Yamaha 1000 that Russ sells them. They need to be able to control what they have. But this is an effort that we supported as a division, and as a former park ranger, I think is really the right move to do. So we're super excited about that one.
Jeff?
Representative, yes.
Do those requirements include those kids wearing helmets?
Absolutely. All kids under 18 have to wear helmets, so it doesn't change anything with that.
Good.
The last one I was going to mention was another effort that Representative Albrecht has a bill file open for, and that is to designate the Butch Cassidy Boyhood Home as a state monument. We've run into some glitches with getting all the behind the scenes work done on that one. So that one may go to interim study. There is a bill file open, but it's looking like that's probably not going to go through this session. So Other than that, certainly a lot of other bills that we're tracking, but those are the ones that I wanted to highlight, unless there's any others that you want to talk about or ask about. And that's all I had.
Jeff, this is just this. Well, go ahead.
I was just wondering about Representative Snyder's bill regarding the bifurcation of parks and recreation. How will that affect this board?
I don't see it really changing this board, other than certainly we wouldn't be considering the off-highway vehicle and boating grants, but this board would still be a policy and direction board for the Division of Parks. So I don't see a whole lot changing. On the recreation side, the way the bill is currently written, if you want to call it their board that they would report to, is actually the outdoor. I can't remember the exact word for it, but it's the Outdoor Adventure Committee that Speaker Wilson, and I can't remember the representative that created that agency last year, but there's another commission that would serve as you do for the Division of Parks to create policy, to approve grants, and do all the other functions that this board does for the Division of State Parks. So I don't see it changing much of anything for this board.
Thanks.
Jeff, a question. Scott explained some things to us about the park pass that's been implemented here locally and is still in the works. I've seen that there's a House Concurrent Resolution number 14 regarding the park pass application. Do you see that kind of helping park pass gain some traction and be expanded and implemented, or what do you see there?
I see it as only helping us highlight what we're doing with that park pass and getting more support. I think we already have really good support to be able to do it, but I see it only helping us in doing it. I believe that's Representative Barlow, right?
Yes, that's correct.
In that resolution, yeah.
Well, we appreciate
so we see that as a positive thing, highlighting the project that Scott's been working on with the Southern Utah universities and Representative Brooks.
The facility of learning, formerly known as Dixie State University, is kind of what we say.
Yes, sir. We'll just leave it at that.
Yes. And Jeff, thanks for all your work on the Hill and working with the legislators and addressing these things. It's always the most dangerous time of the year is when the legislature's in session, is what we say. But thanks for your efforts there.
Thank you. We appreciate all of you.
Jeff, this is Claudia. Just one quick question. Did we ever hire anybody to replace Kate as a planner? And then after you answer that question, I have just one more comment.
Okay, so for our planner position and responsibilities, we're still working on potential options for that. One being that we would contract that work out. I know Scott's been working on setting up a meeting with a company that does planning for recreation for state park systems. And anytime there's a position open, we like to consider all options and ask ourselves the question of, do we fill it? Do we fill it differently? Do we fill the responsibilities in some other way? And we're just working through that process with the planner position. But definitely plan to follow through with that. And there's a lot of work to be done with our individual state park plans and our division plan.
And my last comment, should the division happen that we split off with parks and recreation, I would ask that this board make a strong letter of recommendation that those currently holding those positions in state parks, like Chris Howler, Justine, the one over the boating, that they retain those positions in the new division. And that would be my recommendation, that as a board, we do that, if it happens.
I concur with that, and I think there's a tremendously high probability that that's going to happen. They're the experts for those programs. And if this happens, the Division of Recreation is going to be under this department, and Brian's very aware of their expertise and their accomplishments. So I'm pretty certain that that's going to happen, but I appreciate the comment.
Do we have any other questions or comments from the board for Jeff? Okay, well, I'd just like to thank everyone for being here today. Thanks for taking the time and for your reports. Next on the agenda is other business, but we really don't have any other business. So I will, if there's no other comments or questions, I will accept a motion to adjourn.
I will make that motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Kevin. We have a second.
This is Corey. I'll second.
Thank you, Corey. Thank you, everyone. We really appreciate all the efforts that you make, and go State Parks.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Have a good day.
See you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.